What's going on, guys? This is a deal structure video on a new property that was acquired today. So I'm going to go over the deal. I'm going to go over when I first contacted them, kind of give you some details about how it went down, the price to the seller, price to the buyer, potential profits, all that good stuff. All right, we'll do this in under 15 minutes. So for code, I'm not going to obviously share the exact address, but if you have any questions, this would be the code 3rd S that tells me which property it is. The initial contact was a live call on the 14th of June. I actually have the live call recorded. I haven't posted it yet, so it's going to be pretty cool when I post that so you can kind of correlate this deal structure with the conversation. And it took about a week to set an appointment with the seller and actually meet face-to-face and visit the house. So we did that on a Friday, and then he wanted the weekend to go over it with his partner who wasn't there, and eventually today, which is Monday, the 24th, he sent me the signed agreement that I left with him. We filled it out. I filled it out in front of him, signed it, and was just waiting for his signature after he had spoken to his partner, and today he sent it to me back signed. So it took about 10 days from initial contact to property acquired, which is pretty quick. Doesn't usually happen that quick. I've gotten probably 8 to 10 properties acquired by this time. Managed to close one of them, and this might, well, the one that I ended up closing probably was the quickest, but this one is quicker than most cases. But it just goes to show you when someone's ready, then they're ready. So here was the terms. Seller was asking $349,900 as a for sale by owner. After doing some homework on the comps, there actually weren't that many comps in the area, but from what I saw and what Zillow had it, what Redfin had it at, what some of the other sites had it at, you came around this price, $340,000. So it kind of gave me an idea that he was, when we spoke over the phone, like he'd be happy with the $340,000. So that's the price that I offered him. I offered, look, I can get you $340,000. Would you be happy netting as a minimum $340,000? And he agreed. House is in great condition, by the way. It's like 8.5, 9 out of 10. This is what the seller told me over the phone. After seeing the house, it's verified. I mean, it's a great house. There's really nothing wrong with it, except that I think it has its own septic, so it's not part of the town, which might be a small problem, but it's a nice looking house. So here's the terms of the seller. Price, again, $340,000 is what our agreement is. Monthly payment, market rent is somewhere between $1,850 to $1,950 in that area for single-family homes, 3 bedrooms. And to cover his principal, interest, taxes, and insurance will take about $1,850. So he wants to cash flow a little bit of money if he can. So we're putting on the market for about $1,950, which I think is a good price for a $340,000 home. Well, actually, when you see what we're going to put it to the buyer, it's actually a little more, but that's a pretty good monthly payment. Anywhere under $2,000 when you're talking about the $300,000 range in my area tends to be pretty good fit from what I've seen. So the down payment to the seller, which we agreed to, is going to be a 50-50 split of the option deposit. And the term is going to be anywhere between 18 to 24 months. So we don't know the exact down payment until we find the buyer that's going to be living there. We don't know the exact term until we find the buyer that's going to be living there. Once we have him pre-screened and I go over it with the seller, then he will ultimately get final say whether he wants to insert this buyer, and I'll have an agreement with the buyer saying how much they can put down today and over time during the term, and then we'll know more about the specifics once we get there. So the buyer price is going to be $354,900. Keep in mind, you can raise the price. This is how you're compensated. This is how it doesn't come out of the seller's net, because whenever you're selling something on terms over time, you can always charge a premium for it. So in this case, generally speaking, you can do anywhere between 5 to 7%. I wanted to be a little more conservative, so we put it at $354,900. It's still going to leave room for them to net their minimum of $340,000. Even after they put a certain amount down and going over the numbers with them. So the monthly payment is going to be $1,950 to the buyer. So as you can see here, there's really not much of a monthly spread for this deal. So this was an assignment all day. Like if you were to have a seller that had a mortgage of maybe $1,400 right? And they were okay with you just taking over that payment, or they were okay with just being completely relieved from the property, something like that, then that will create cash flow, right? And then those are the types of deals that you might want to stay in. But this case, first off, I mean, my focus is just wholesaling the lease options, signing it at this time. But in this case, I mean, it so happens that there's no spread in the middle either way. Down payment, expected down payment, generally speaking, is 5%. 5% in this area will get them a good FHA loan, anywhere between 3 to 6%, generally speaking. But this can be upfront. This could be at least $10,000 today and maybe another $10,000 over time. Ideally, you want that to be all up front, but there's ways when you can structure it where you can collect some of this over time as well. Again, as I shared the term, we won't know until I have Paul Ritter, who's over at mycreditteam.com. They're going to do the screening, and they're going to come back with a report saying they're either 12 to 18, 18 to 24, 24 to 36 months away from being approved if they follow this plan, right? So we won't know that until we find the actual buyer. Potential profits, if assuming we get the aimed amount of 20,000, which is reasonable, and at least in my area, $10,000 would be my split in addition to first month's rent. So this is something that I actually recently started negotiating, is keeping the first month's rent as my compensation. I'm not going to share the exact negotiation, how I do that, but these are going to add up, right? These are going to add up. So seller, as long as the seller's happy, basically as long as the seller's happy with their net when you meet with them, and again, his net was a 340, then this is going to be easier to negotiate. So just show them how you're getting your net, how they're getting their net of the minimum 340 in the form of some money down today and in the form of a big cash out down the line, then this doesn't really become a problem. So I just made an extra $19.50 with that. So for total potential profit, it's going to be close to $12,000. I have 90 days to get this done. That's how long my contracts are. I usually just set it for 90 days, and we go from there. But yeah, it was a cool experience with this one. Seller was really cool. His son was pretty cool. I ended up, when I showed up at the house, it was first with his son, who's living there with him, the dad. And son's going to be playing football in college soon. Dad showed up a little late, showed me around the house. We had some good conversation. By the end of it, we shook hands. He gave me a verbal agreement. And again, today he signed. By the end of it, after the verbal agreement, we all went back upstairs. We had a shot of single malt whiskey. It was pretty good whiskey. It's a cool bottle that he opened up. So that alone was a pretty cool experience. But yeah, I'm not sure if you have any questions on this. Let me know. I'm not sure if there's anything else I should add or could add even. Let me know if you have any questions. I haven't done too many of these deal structure videos because, again, majority of the ones when I first got under contract, I didn't even have this channel. And I've only managed to close one, so I think that's the only one that I did a deal structure video on. So this might evolve to something else, who knows. But I hope this was helpful, and thank you for watching. Again, I do live seller calls every single week. At least one will be posted. I think the next one's going to be this specific deal. Just makes sense, right? I'll make sure this one's going to get posted at some point this week. And in order to get notified, be sure to hit the bell. Be sure to subscribe because I make those go private within 24 hours. All right? So thanks, guys.